Hey guys, welcome back to another Black Ops 4 video. We're going to be back here with another Call of Duty video talking about Black Ops 4's scrapped campaign. So basically what we're going to be going through here is a recent leak that popped up on Reddit. This Redditor had a huge post with tons of images. I swear it was like something like 400 images or so of just tons of stuff from the Black Ops 4 scrap campaign. Now he talks about kind of where he got it, but it sounds like this is one of like the play tests or whatever that was in like say 2017 or 2016 or something like that. So it was pretty early on in development and stuff about a lot of this stuff, but nonetheless, it gives us an insight into what the Black Ops 4's campaign could have been were it not had been scrapped. You know, the campaign was fully scrapped, and instead they kind of turned sections of it into the specialist operation missions, and they kind of made a campaign out of it. But by and large, Black Ops 4 was the first and only Call of Duty game to not launch with a campaign. You know, it had Blackout, it had multiplayer, and it had zombies, and it kind of had, you know, the campaign or whatever with like the specialist missions, but it doesn't really count. So first game, and to this date, the only game that did not have a campaign. So, you know, at one point it did have a campaign, but as we know from all the leaks and stuff that we've gotten over the number of years, it was actually scrapped. So here we go. Here is a full, huge Reddit post about this. And yeah, so I just want to disclose a little bit right here. I'm not going to be showing you guys any of these images, unfortunately. I'll try and link it to you guys in the description. But, you know, all this stuff is still property of Activision, and Activision doesn't take kindly to leaks and to stuff like this. Even stuff like this, that this game came out in 2018. 4 freaking years ago, dude. Activision doesn't care. They'll still copyright strike my channel. They already have, so yeah, I am not going to risk it by showing you guys the images, but we're just going to sit here and discuss it, so you guys can sit back and enjoy some of this fantastic gameplay in the background, and you know, or whatever, you know, you can just like minimize the window or whatever and just listen. So here we go. Here is his Reddit post. It's actually, you know, at the time of recording this video, has been deleted, but fortunately for me, I like to keep tabs open on my computer for years at a time. So this tab was open, so fortunately I still have access to this. Here we go. He says, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 scrapped campaign. Disclaimer, this is a long-ass post and is the result of months of research and discussion with people who have inside knowledge of the mode. I will have a 30-ish minute video that can easily digest this post and better put external areas in depth, releasing August 18th. However, my sources and I decided it's better to release the info before the video is complete, as some information would be hard to reveal in a video without being copyright striked. Most of the images presented are from early 2017 builds, so the environments, UI, etc. are all unfinished. There's very little material from the finished campaign, December 2017 milestone build. It's also worth noting that this leaked campaign footage does not relate to this mode. That's an early prototype for Specialist HQ that was created long after the original campaign's cancellation. He says, to provide proof, below is 400 plus images consisting of images of early documentation, PowerPoints going step by step on each mission, images of early builds of missions, and storyboards. He says, however, we'd prefer it if you read the post first. It would much help more when it comes to clarifying the contents of the playlist below. So here we go. The mode. Black Ops 4's original campaign was called Career. It was scoped to be a 2v2 race to the finish mode, as covered by Jason Schreier in his 2019 article covering the developer abuse within Treyarch. The mode was scrapped in early 2018 due to technical issues and the overall gameplay loop being described as too repetitive, on top of the title being set to release a month earlier for October 2018. Outside of that, there's very little knowledge in the public for how this mode would have played. The goal was to take the format of the campaign and evolve it into a cooperative live service that linked back to the multiplayer and its specialists, creating a single narrative universe that could also engage players who wouldn't usually play the campaign. Whilst creating a unique 2v2 experience with the focus, you could also play Career by yourself and have AI fill in the gaps. Your actions doing the game would have genuine consequences, with the missions having dynamic changes depending on which faction succeeds or fails. In some cases, the next mission and the story would be completely different depending on who won or lost. So, you know, kind of reminds me quite a bit of Black Ops 2. So, cool stuff there. Also, real quick side note here, this is not part of his article or whatever, but just speaking of Black Ops 4 in general. So, we know that Black Ops 4 had a very rushed development cycle, so Black Ops 4, you know, we've heard from a lot of leaks and stuff initially, like early on in the game, The multiplayer was scrapped early on and was just completely redone from the ground up. It was supposed to be a hero shooter. It was supposed to be kind of like an Overwatch clone. Specialists were going to be way bigger of a part of the game, and it was also supposed to be an advanced movement game. It was not supposed to be a boots on the ground game. Well, of course, after the reactions the community had to Infinite Warfare and also to World War II, Activision knew, okay, we have to have a boots on the ground game. We have to have a traditional Call of Duty. You guys have to get rid of this Overwatch clone thing. You guys basically have to restart all of your multiplayer progress here on this game. Okay. Well, they did that, and they also scrapped the campaign here. They said, what did they say here? They said the mode was scrapped in early 2018 due to technical issues. So, early 2018 is when the campaign got the axe, all right. And then it was like, they said after that is when they started kind of doing stuff here about the specialist mission and stuff like that. So, yeah. And then we also found out, too, that Blackout was a kind of a later addition to Black Ops 4, of course. Like Battle Royale games. I mean, Call of Duty wouldn't even thought about doing a Battle Royale game if it wasn't for Fortnite. Fortnite came out really and just, exploded onto the scene in 2017, kind of later in 2017, and just, took the world by storm. And so, of course, Call of Duty kind of had to respond to that. And so their response was, okay, what about Blackout? What if we create our own Battle Royale? So, they... at this point, they basically, early 2018, they had to restart multiplayer progress, completely, redo multiplayer. They had to completely, boop, bam, give this campaign completely, give it the axe, which is probably a good and a bad thing. I mean, it was probably good that it got the axe, because, they describe it as, too repetitive and stuff, and yeah, maybe it could have been repetitive or whatever, but it also would have given Treyarch more time to devote to other areas of the game, such as, redoing multiplayer and also redoing Blackout, which they ended up doing. Not redoing Blackout, but doing Blackout in general. So just, basically the time they took away from this campaign, they put into Blackout and they put it into multiplayer. And, Zombies was kind of in its own world. Zombies launched with 4 maps, so from what we know, Zombies was pretty solid through and through, like we've known about Blood of the Dead. We knew about it for 2 years, basically, before the game came out. We knew that's where the storyline was going to be going. We had leaks saying that that's what the map was going to be. It was going to be a remaster of Mob of the Dead, yada, yada, yada. So, here we go. That's just a little backstory on Black Ops 4. But here we go, talking about the campaign. He says, narratively, career takes place during 2070 in a post-Black Ops 3 world. So it's a sequel to Black Ops 3. Makes sense. It's called Black Ops 4. A global pandemic, alongside several climate disasters, would heavily diminish the world's resources, resulting in the Year of Chaos. Most of the world's resources and weaponry were created prior to the breakdown in technology, with most of the new weaponry in Black Ops 4 being experimental prototypes created before the Year of Chaos. It is worth noting that most of the launch maps, weapons, and specialist designs were created with this exact narrative in mind. Hence Ruin having a tattoo that wasn't present in Black Ops 3, for example. And as for the 2v2 aspect, the war would take place between 2 playable factions. The Free People's Army, or the FPA, a military alliance in opposition to the WUN, supported by many of the world's impoverished countries, and the World United Nations, the WUN, a central government body that acts as a collective system of defense. Players would pick their preferred faction and compete against the other side by completing different objectives, creating that 2v2 setting. Depending on your chosen faction, your gameplay experience would be completely different, with the missions, gameplay, story, and characters being from the perspective of whichever faction you aligned with. And then he has an in-game image of each faction. He says, by allowing the player to select their faction, you would essentially have 2 separate campaigns to play, assuming you weren't interested in the 2v2 element. The fundamentals, mission design. Each mission was designed to be 15 to 20 minutes long, with some of them including a timer. There would only be around 6 story locations, however each location would be 2 times bigger than a campaign section from Black Ops 3, with every career mission being a sector of the larger map. He has an example from the mission's data control and data escape. He says combat. As is standard for a campaign, you would have AI to fight against, sometimes being from the other faction or third parties depending on the mission. There would be parts where both sides could get into shootouts, PvP section of a mission, hindering the other faction's progress. If you were killed, you'd go into a down state to be revived, and if you bled out, you'd respawn at a base nearby to the action. Several missions included vehicles such as VTOLs and AFVs. Most of the vehicles within Career would later be reused for Blackout. All players also had 3 selectable abilities on their D-pad, all on a cooldown, similar to the Cyber Course from Black Ops 3. It says cybernetic systems image from early documentation. There are also many side objectives alongside the main mission goal, like calling in enemy reinforcements or creating false distress calls to lure away enemy NPCs. Companions. Each player could select a companion, all of whom were multiplayer specialists. These companions would be locked behind certain factions and would have their own special abilities and narrative arcs. From a gameplay standpoint, your companion would fight alongside you. They could also be commanded by pressing down on the D-pad. Some missions even had side objectives in areas that only certain companions could access. As the story continued, you would build a relationship with your companion that changed dynamically depending on your faction's progress. There were also plans for side missions that were focused on your individual companion. FPA team, changing your selected specialist in an early 2017 build. Okay, that's an image he's referring to there. He says progression. Similar to Black Ops 3's campaign, you would earn XP by playing the campaign and unlock new weapons, abilities, and equipment. You could also customize the gender and cosmetics of your player, character, and companion. Cutscenes. There were essentially no pre-rendered cutscenes in Career, only in-game cinematics similar to zombies. Each major story beat within a mission would play a global cutscene from your own faction's perspective, depending on the outcome of certain objectives. Each mission would also end with a newsroom cinematic showing a news report of the previous mission, often being biased towards the faction who won. He has an image of the newsroom camera concept art, and he says Columbia Journalist Cinematic, the closest we have to a cutscene for this mode. And then he says the missions. Below are 4 missions that were nearly complete and were within the last known build before the mode's eventual cancellation. The images provided from late 2016 to very early 2017. However, these missions would have been nearly 100% completed by the time Career was scrapped. Air Assault Convoy says temp loading screens from early 2017 build, both factions. Air Assault Convoy is one of the first missions in the story. The Free People's Army was tasked with escorting a convoy through Ethiopia's neutral zone whilst protecting it from the WUN's incoming air assault. The FPA team could hack and switch between several dead systems and also take control of mounted weaponry on the convoy. So dead systems were a major part of the Black Ops 3 campaign. Building off that, like they said, it's a sequel, which I'm going to pause right here. It's kind of interesting here that it sounds like Black Ops 4 is really supposed to be a full-blown sequel to Black Ops 3, so, taking place in the 2070s, whereas Black Ops 3 took place in, the 2040s, 2050s, somewhere around there. So, it's going to take place even later after Black Ops 3, so even more in the future. But, it kind of makes sense. I mean, we had heard that instead, they were really dialing it back. Instead of going super futuristic with the game like they're supposed to apparently here, instead they made it as a hybrid. Black Ops 4's, I believe its official, canon timeline is somewhere between Black Ops 2 and 3. It sounds like Black Ops 3 is the furthest along in the future, but Black Ops 4 somehow takes place before 3, so, that's kind of the canon we have so far with, multiplayer specialists and whatnot, so kind of weird, but, and if you think of it in this instance, it was supposed to take place after Black Ops 3, it makes the most sense, especially considering all these specialists and stuff, like how some of the specialists were in Black Ops 4, but they weren't in Black Ops 3, so it's like, okay, how are you going to have that, so... just kind of makes sense, but here we go. He says early gameplay of the FPA team protecting the cargo, using dead turrets and controlling the turret trucks. On the other hand, the World United Nations was tasked with destroying the convoy by utilizing several air vehicles. The WUN would start within a nearby mountain base and would pick whichever vehicle they preferred. After being shot down, they'd respawn at the base and choose another available aircraft. He says concept art for the World United Nations Air Base, and early gameplay of the WUN team choosing aircraft and air assaulting the convoy. Data control, this is the next mission. Regardless of the mission outcome, the Free People's Army would become suspicious of the World United Nations' involvement in the black market convoy. As a result, they would head to Zurich, Switzerland to acquire critical data proving their theory. Data control, early 2017 build, loading screen, both factions. In data control, the Free People's Army was tasked with infiltrating a data center and hacking into several terminals. Once the hacking devices were planted, the FPA needed to defend the terminals from Zurich Defense Force. Hacking minigame on the FPA side. And then there's another screenshot, early mission screenshots from 2016, hence the outdated HUD and mission objectives. On the World United Nations side, they were tasked with infiltrating the lower parts of the facility and planting charges on several support structures. If they are quick enough, the entire data center would collapse, thus preventing the FPA from extracting the data. WN team near one of the support structures. Another interesting element of career was the mission structure. The next mission would be different depending on if the WN team could destroy the entire facility in time. Your actions during gameplay had genuine consequences on the outcome of the story. Data escape. If the FPA team acquired the data before the WN team could place all the demolition charges, then data control would be the next mission. It's self-explanatory. The Free People's Army had to make a mad dash to a nearby support VTOL whilst avoiding getting caught by either the WN forces or the ZDF. And then more screenshots, data escape loading screens, both factions, and map layout for the mission. That's pretty cool. You guys should definitely go and check this out. You guys should definitely be trying to find this link and see if you guys can pull this up and check out all this stuff, because it's super cool. He says, as you can imagine, the FPA team would have to run all the way from the data center, yellow, to the extraction area in green, where a VTOL would be waiting. Note the sheer size of this level. It might not seem like much from above, but the playable area was huge. Tons of buildings, several distinct paths, and lots of room for both enemy and civilian AI to roam the scene. Snatch and grab. In contrast, if the WN succeeds and blows up the data center, the next mission after data control would be snatch and grab instead of data escape. Snatch and grab loading screens both factions. In Snatch and Grab, the Free People's Army would attempt to apprehend the WN team for blowing up the facility. The destruction of the data center was a huge set piece that would not only be present in the intro cutscene, but in level design too. He has an early storyboard of Snatch and Grab cutscenes, and he says the narrative. While I'll be leaving most of the narrative information for the full video, I thought I'd cover some integral information regarding career, being the handlers and characters. Handlers. Both factions have a designated handler who is both an important character in the story and the gameplay announcer for each side. For the Free People's Army, the handler was Sawyer, a figurehead for the FPA who had gone off the grid after escaping from the Joint, and McQueen, a colonel who has a strong authority within the World United Nations. Sawyer and McQueen were fleshed out characters, predominantly being heard during gameplay over radio and featured in most of the career story cutscenes. Early storyboard and prologue cutscenes when starting a new career. There were many other characters within the story, some being one-off squad members for certain missions, and others being important enough to have entire story arcs. And of course, you also had the previously mentioned companions that you would fight alongside. One of the extremely important characters in the story was the journalist, who would have had several missions focused around him reporting behind enemy lines with the Colombian FPA. One of the major story beats in career would focus around him being extracted by the World United Nations. And he has concept art for this, the mission journalist. He says the side content. Here we go. Now we're getting into some really cool stuff about the game. Side content. Alongside the core career experience were plans for several other modes that reinforced the live service model. These included Skirmish, an always online multiplayer element of career where you can play stripped down missions in a variety of playlists, a custom game modes creator, and the return of Nightmares from Black Ops 3. So Skirmish, here we go, talk about Skirmish. In Skirmish, the core gameplay elements of the career mode are retained, but there is no branching story, mission consequences, or cutscenes. While career was a story-focused experience with a large emphasis on long-term decisions, Skirmish allowed you to play career missions and individual public playlists similar to traditional multiplayer. The idea being that people who have already completed the career mode will be able to jump back into the experience without worrying about their faction choice and other decisions connected to their save file. Newsroom cutscenes would also be replaced by help screens to assist players who may not have experienced the missions previously, and level progression was enabled. It was basically a best moments multiplayer mosh pit that was intended to receive post-launch support, feeding back into the idea of a live service campaign. There would be several distinct playlists to engage with while playing Skirmish. Playlists such as Free Agent would include every type of mission, while War Zones would include larger conflicts with NPCs and vehicle spawns bumped up to the maximum. In contrast, the Wet Work playlist focused around stealthy missions. Next up, there's custom game modes. He says, currently known as Zombies Custom Mutations in Black Ops 4, the entire system was repurposed from career. A part of Skirmish mode was the ability to tweak the core fundamentals game settings to create your own campaign experience, setting different modifiers and settings to change the experience. For example, you could enable 4v4 gameplay or disable some if not all abilities. Spawn systems, health, objectives, and so on could all be tweaked manually. It's not fully known how many settings there were, but the number is likely in the hundreds. This was merely for an extra mode for people who finished the main career story. However, there are plans to release official Schreier custom game modes with progression enabled throughout the season's post-launch. Dude, how sick would that have been? To get this much content post-launch for Black Ops 4, dude? Holy crap. I'm going to talk about all this stuff here at the end. We're already getting kind of late in the video. It says, next up, DLC seasons. Additionally, there were plans for different seasons of career and story DLC post-launch. It was originally planned for each season of career to include 3 or so new missions, which would be the first time a mainline Call of Duty campaign received new content, story content after its launch. He says an earliest known internal post-launch roadmap, and then Nightmares, in development name Zombies Next. Career also had plans for zombie content, which would have been a sequel to Black Ops 3's Nightmare mode. The matches would take place on the career maps and utilize classic Zombies AI alongside special enemies such as Brutus and the Panzer Soldat. A fair amount of these concepts were moved to Black Ops Cold War's Outbreak. Holy crap, that's actually so sick. You know, it brings it kind of into the modern day with, 2 years ago when Black Ops Cold War launched. So here we go. Nightmare's experience had 2 primary gameplay modes. One of them being similar to Grief, but on a larger scale with 2 teams attempting to complete objectives as fast as possible. The other is a 6-player survival experience. Holy crap, dude, how did we miss out on this? This is so cool. And he says, final thoughts. Thank you for reading through this post as previously stated on my channel. He links his channel. I'll link that down in the description. There will be a video on August 18th that explains career modes and goes more in depth in planned story beats, the ending, companion arcs, including the identity of the Spectre Specialist, and more. This is months of work, and everybody that's worked on it is happy to get this out. The final note, though, is that the last known build of this game was late 2017 for when Activision employees tried it out during holiday break. My sources and I have no leads on finding any information or gameplay of it, unfortunately. If you do have any info on it, it would be widely appreciated if any information/gameplay would be released to the public. This is one of the largest pieces of scrap content for a COD game, and it would be phenomenal to see how this campaign looked before the plug got pulled on it. Hope you all enjoy reading, and take care. So here we go. Wow, that is one of the biggest leaks we've ever gotten for a Call of Duty game. I mean, this is like deliberately talking about huge, content. I mean, the only other time I can really think of like a leak like this was, when we got all the leaked stuff for Modern Warfare 2 within the Warzone mobile game files just barely like last month. So crazy stuff, guys. He's gonna have a video coming up, in just a couple days. So we're definitely gonna go over that, and I'll try and link that for you guys as well. But absolutely insane. Putting this all out there, this really, I don't know, it just makes me feel a certain way because I loved Black Ops 4. I know the community had a really rough relationship with Black Ops 4, but personally, I love that game. Black Ops 4 multiplayer was fantastic. Now, maybe I had a different experience than a lot of you guys. I'm not sure why. I felt like my experience, was pretty straightforward. When Black Ops 4 first came out, I actually ended up getting it early, so okay, that's a little bit different than most people. But, I played multiplayer. We played it for a week straight, literally 24 hours a day. I've streamed it here on this channel, so you guys, if, you're still interested in that, watching that stream from 4 years ago, you guys can go and check that out. Freaking absolutely insane. Can't believe that was 4 years ago, dude. That feels like yesterday. Wow, time really flies. Anyways, we played it 24/7. We tried to be the first people in the world to master Prestige. We ended up being the second people in the world to master Prestige. Did Black Ops 4 multiplayer. Absolutely insane. First on Xbox. That was freaking sick. And it was just really fun. And of course, boom, we played that. And then while we were playing it, while it wasn't my shift on stream, I ended up playing, I want to say it was the Voyage of Despair. I played a little bit of Voyage of Despair. And then after we did the stream, I freaking went and just crashed and just fell asleep. And then the next day, played some more multiplayer and started playing zombies and stuff. And dude, we streamed so freaking much on the channel. Just played tons of multiplayer, tons of zombies, tons of Blackout. Literally, me and my buddy Harrison, we had a goal before, I believe it was Christmas of that year of 2018, where we wanted to get, I swear it wasn't, I think it was 100 wins. We wanted to get 100 wins in Blackout before Christmas, before the end of the year or something like that. And I'm pretty sure we ended up actually doing that. We actually got that, And it was so sick. I mean, I ended up getting to the max rank in Blackout as well, so I ended up getting, we got to Master Prestige. It was kind of weird. Black Ops 4 included Master Prestige level 1000 right off the bat. Kind of sucks, but we just got to Master Prestige. We didn't go to 1000 right off the bat. And then I got max rank within Blackout, before Season 1 even came out. Boom, got that. And then, started playing a ton of zombies, played tons of zombies on Classified. Overall, dude, I just loved Black Ops 4. And I played that game so much. Like, you guys can go back on the channel and see the amount of videos and streams and stuff I posted to that game. That game has the most amount of content I've ever posted for a Call of Duty game, or even just a video game in general. Like, I have so much hours put into that game. It's actually insane. And I just loved playing it. Every single aspect of it. I loved playing Blackout. I loved playing zombies. I loved playing multiplayer. It was all fantastic. And to hear the community didn't like it, I'm not sure why. So I kind of want to post another video on the channel specifically talking about this kind of more in depth. This isn't really what the video's meant to be about, but all in all, I just think that, how different could this game, would it have been if we still had a campaign? If they still would have focused on a campaign, shipped it with a campaign, would we still have gotten the specialist missions? Would that still have been in there as well? How would Blackout have turned out, if we still had a campaign? How would multiplayer have turned out if we still had a campaign? Would they still have gone through with these, like the post-launch seasons and content and stuff for the campaign as well? Like, how crazy would that be? That'd be the first time we ever got post-launch content for a campaign. That'd be actually so insane. But yeah, I don't know, it's one of those things that's like, we can only basically like kind of guess, what would have happened, like what if. But of course, at the end of the day, the game launched how it did, and that's just how it all went down. So it's a little unfortunate, but I still think the Black Ops 4 is a great game at the end of the day. All this stuff is really fascinating to me. Like I said, I am a huge fan of Black Ops 4, literally everything about Black Ops 4. So if any of you guys worked on Black Ops 4, if any of you guys worked at Treyarch or Activision, any form of this game at all back then, and know anything about the game, hit me up. I would be so interested in learning more stuff about this. Like, seriously, so fascinating. And I personally loved it. I think this is one of the best Call of Duty games of all time, and it's unfortunate the community doesn't see that way, but that's just the way I see it. So yeah, that's pretty much going to do it, guys. I know it's kind of a long video. Here we are coming up on almost 28 minutes, but yeah, that's going to do it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching this video. We'll be back in a couple days going over his video, talking about that, any other details we have about this Black Ops 4 canceled, fully scrapped campaign, and any other cool details we have about Black Ops 4, because as he says here, I mean, this is like the biggest cancellation we've ever had in the Call of Duty history. This is like the biggest piece of cut content that we ever had, because it sounds like here we had like several missions that were almost like 100% complete, and then the whole campaign just got the axe. So I don't know, it'd be really cool if maybe somebody from Treyarch or if Activision at some point would just be so inclined to just give this information out to the public and be like, hey, here to our community, here is what we missed out on. We were unfortunately not able to ship back in 2018. Here, now is your first chance to actually take a look at it. This is the missions. Maybe we polish it up a little bit, spend a little bit of time, spend a week or two, and we put out like a little demo. Here, this is what Black Ops 4's campaign could have been, or whatever. Honestly, stuff like that I would think would be really cool. Kind of get my hopes up. I don't think it'll actually ever happen, but still, it's really cool nonetheless. But what do you guys think about all this? Let me know in the comments down below. Freaking crazy stuff. I love Black Ops 4. Such a fun game. But yeah, I mean, that was 2018. And here we are 4 years later. We're coming up on Modern Warfare 2. And then we got to wait another 2 years for the next Black Ops game. So just weird how time flies like that. But yeah, that's going to do it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Long video. Thank you guys all so much for watching if you stuck all the way here to the very end. I always truly appreciate all you guys. But that's going to do it. Thank you all so much for watching. And I'll see you next time.